Welcome back to Straight Facts. I'm here with Don Hussam and Judge Mo. We're talking City. We're talking the 115 and big suggestions today in the mainstream media that a 60-point deduction could be made if and when they are found guilty of the serious charges they are under allegation for. We also found out, listening to Kieran Maguire speak yesterday, that there have been over 500,000 pieces of evidence in both directions, some from City, some from the Premier League. We're deep diving into that on the show today. We're looking ahead at the big clash this weekend of Arsenal versus Chelsea. Who is going to come out on top? Will the top four race for Chelsea be damaged? Will Arsenal remain 5 points clear at the top? We're talking Elliot Anderson to Manchester United as United announced very good second quarter financials, over 33 million in profit for a quarter compared to about £1 million of losses the year before and around about 20 to 30 million pound of losses 2 years ago. United are in the driving seat for a Champions League spot. The new signings are doing well. Could Elliot Anderson be next on the agenda? Before all of that, gentlemen, how are you both?
I'm good. I know Mo ain't after Bodo yesterday. I was watching his watch along while I was working out and the guy was losing his mind. You get me? What happened? This is prime Cannavaro. There is no way this is Bodo Glimt. He was losing his mind. But anywho, regardless, big up to all of you guys locked in. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's go.
Yeah, bro. It's tough day today. Oh, it's okay. I'm over it now. It's tough. I'm tough. It's tough day.
You're not over it. You're not.
Yeah, I'm all right, bro. I'm okay. I'll live through worse. I'll live. It's okay now. At least I'll win the league, though. When you got knocked out of Atalanta, did you win the league? Or you bottled it as well?
Brother, I'm already a Premier League champion last season. You can't do this to me.
I'm already a Premier League champion last season. What about this season?
Don't use the default settings of what you use with someone else. Doesn't work here, Habibi.
It does work with you. You're already. I know. I'm Premier League champion last year.
I'm already. Who's the current league champion? Me.
I know.
I'm the current league champion.
This is the.
You allowed Napoli to beat you
the way
twice.
people say. This is the
you
way
allowed Pioli to beat you.
You're rattled already.
You're the reason why Ruben Loftus-Cheek is a Serie A winner.
He's rattled. Your goal got rattled 5 times by Bodo.
Yeah, how am I rattled? I'm not rattled at all.
At least I didn't play.
Your goal got rattled more times than Bonnie Blue when filming, mate. I'm telling you, it was an absolute madness. Yeah, it was terrible for you. I mean, Italian football was just in the mud. I mean, I was actually I went and followed a few big Italian aggregator accounts last night, and the media over there is going crazy because of how bad you all are. And yeah, it's not nice to see, actually. I grew up loving Italian football. Seeing it on its arse is just, it reminds me of the final season of Game of Thrones. Do you get what I mean? How it ended like this? You know, that's like you guys.
I actually don't think that Italian football is as dead as you guys think at all. It's over exaggeration.
The Italians are very close to missing out on their 3rd consecutive World Cup. That's how bad Italian.
Yeah, because the national team is shit. That's
Italian. That's part of Italian football.
When the Premier League started, you missed out on 1994 World Cup.
Yeah, because English football wasn't good.
You were recovering still.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I'm not
good.
sure if they're gonna make it or not. To be honest with you, the Italian national team. But I don't think that Italian football is like that bad as you guys think at all.
Thank you for proving that point the longer you speak.
There is competition. The league has good players. DeMarcus is the best left back out there now.
Copa Italia over here. Copa Italia.
No one's buying it.
Listen, we'll leave Mo alone. Mo came on and faced up to it last night. We don't need to grill him too much on it again. Do you want to start with Man City or Man United?
Let Mo decide since he's the loser.
I actually start with Man United. It's better.
So obviously United have posted very strong financials for the second quarter of 2026. We won't go into the intricate detail, but operating profits are up to over £20 million. To put that into context, 2 years ago, we were losing 30 million a year. So, you know, you do the maths on that, anywhere between 25 to 40 million per quarter, and it varied. United were losing, now making profits, although some of the cutbacks were very harsh on people. the club were right. We were overspending in every department. We were overspending on substandard players, overspending on transfers, underselling on transfers, and every single department of the football club was hemorrhaging money. That's been resolved. I've seen a lot of United fans angry about it today because they view it as, well, we've only got here through cost cutting. Yes, but if you're overspending, the only way to get, you have to cost cut. But have we, we still employ more people in the UK than any other football club. It's not as though we're running on a sort of, we're not running on the bare bones of a football club. And some of these clubs that employ less people than us actually have clubs that have not just multiple football teams, they have multiple sports connected to their football club, and we don't have that. So we're in a much better place financially. For me, I look at it as a positive because now we can really put pressure on Ineos to go out there and buy the very best, especially if we make it into the Champions League. And this is why I was saying last month to you guys, I don't want to invest £80 million into a Conor Gallagher. For me, it's about going after the Elliot Andersons. It's about the Believers, the Whartons, the Stillers. And I'm starting to get a real sense that we've got a very good chance in the summer, especially if we make the Champions League. We're playing well at the minute. We're winning games. A lot of our new signings are shining, which gives me hope that, for the first time in 13 years, we've done it 2 summers running, we've actually had football people buying our players, and now we actually have a half competent manager. I think we're starting to see the fruits of that labor. And the big story from Fabrizio today is that Elliot Anderson is a real possibility for Manchester United. And I know you're not a fan of Elliot Anderson specifically, Hussam, but if we just talk about the ballpark of that, I mean, that's what United got to aim for. And what do you boys think of the chances of United pulling off deals like that this summer?
Definitely making top 5 is definitely. You're definitely gonna. If Man United finish 3rd or 4th, you'll definitely be attractive, like way more attractive than even last summer, of course. And you'll actually be able to pull deals like this. But this is a pivotal summer for you, to be honest with you. The scouting has to do like what you guys did for Le Mans. We talk in the group chat. The stuff he talks about the scouting for Le Mans. Le Mans was not known. You don't have to go for the big names. That's what I wanted to say about Man United. You don't have to go. Le Mans was not a big name, but Le Mans was a good signing. You don't have to go for the Elliot Anderson because he's Elliot Anderson and he's English and he's going to the World Cup and he has to be, oh my God, Man United has to pull the big names like what he did with Pogba and stuff like this. Even though I love Pogba, I think he's a fantastic player. I think Man United need to scout well. Profiles are very, very important. Like what Liverpool, for example, scouted for some players over the years. You didn't go for the big names. You go Salah. Mane was good. Firmino was good for them. You got to go for the right names, not the big names, in my opinion. Elliot Anderson is a great player. He's not fantastic. He's not the best player out there. He looks good in Nottingham Forest. I've seen Elanga look absolutely phenomenal at Nottingham Forest. Have fantastic number. Go to Newcastle and literally be a donkey there. He's not even a football player that should be playing Premier League football. Elliot Anderson is good. But Nottingham Forest is a different environment than Manchester United. The pressure is completely different. The way you're going to play football is different. I actually believe that the first thing that you should do is you should go for a physical defensive midfielder. Someone like a Declan Rice, someone like a Manu Kone, someone like a Kifram.
You can ask Terry the question that we asked yesterday and before yesterday, by the way. Do Man United need to do a lot in the summer? Is there a lot of work to be done when you think about it?
That's not the question that we asked, Terry. Who has a better trajectory next season if you finish 3rd? Is it Man United or Liverpool? Who needs more work? Who needs more work?
Yeah, look,
Man United need more
Man
work.
United. Man United do. There's no bias.
I disagree with both of you.
Well, if he says Liverpool,
Hussam disagrees with you. Me and Hussam agree that Liverpool needs 4 starters. Man United need 2 starters only. The rest is a squad building.
When did I say this?
Hang on.
We said that Man United need
That's what you said, not what I said.
You agreed that you need 4
No, I said they need about 10 different things. That's what I said.
They need 2 starters only. You need 4.
Let me just answer. Liverpool got less to do than us. Liverpool need to change manager. And if they changed managers 3 months ago like they would have done, this wouldn't even be a conversation, although they still need new players, but everybody always needs new players. We don't just need 2 or 3 starters at United. We need 5 or 6 players that are starting quality, because if we qualify for the Champions League, rotation becomes a key issue. The reason a lot of United fans are worried about what happens if we have to rotate under Carrick, I don't really think it's about Carrick's managerial ability. I think it's the worry of going, oh God, Ugarte comes back into the team. As an example, Xerxes starting up front. We have no, because Shea Lacey's injured and Dorgu's injured, we don't really have any wingers barring Ahmad and Mbeumo, and they play on the right. We need to bolster that squad, but we're not at a point where we should be aiming for squad depth quality. We need to be aiming for first team quality and push down. So I want us to go out and buy 5 or 6 players that could start for us, that could force the current starting 11 to sit on the bench so they fight out for places in the team. That's where I think we are. I think Liverpool, it's a couple of positions. I think they have a very good squad. I just don't think the way Slott's playing them really works. But from a United perspective, I do agree with you. If we get back into the Champions League, we may not get Elliot Anderson because City could get him. It's plausible, but I think we will sign good players. The one thing I hope, you're right about Staffy in the group chat, gives me a lot of stick over Lemaines because he's like, well, you wanted Emi Martinez. I do find it funny that every time him and Don share a stat about how good Lemaines is compared to Emi Martinez is typically in the top 2 or 3. So it wasn't a bad pick. But equally, my viewers will remember this. The United Stand viewers will remember this. I wasn't panicked about getting Senna Lemaines. I was very comfortable with it based on what I read and the scouting reports. And I do trust our scouts. And I've agreed with that for a long time. My big thing is actually 2 fans like Staffy who spent the whole of last summer panicking. Do you remember every 5 minutes panicking? And I'm using Staffy as an example because he's part of Straight Facts and the viewers know him. But every day panicking, why is this deal not done yet? Why didn't we rush this one through? These were the guys that were advocating selling Rasmus at a loss in the first week of the transfer window just to get rid of him. Oh, we've taken too long. This is going to be a terrible season. Yeah, I think we could potentially finish 3rd this season if we're really good, but I definitely think we're finishing inside the top 5. Nobody predicted that. I don't like the bullshit from the United fans that can't admit they were wrong when they say we're only in the top 4 because Liverpool and Newcastle weren't as good. But that's only half true. We still had to win our games. If we were as bad as last season, it doesn't matter what Liverpool and Newcastle do. We'd still be lower in the table. So my hope for this summer, as opposed to getting into the specifics over each player, is that Man United fans learn to grow a bit more of a backbone, increase their spine, thicken their skin, and maybe, just maybe, back their football club a little bit more publicly rather than pandering to the rivals, dropping their drawers and parting their cheeks every 5 seconds when something doesn't go our way. Because I think we have too many fans that do that. Like the financials, I didn't like that lots of people lost their jobs, but I've always felt it was wrongly reported on. I wasn't as annoyed as the people making the cuts as I were the idiots that overemployed. Because that, for me, imagine one of you guys, you buy the Football Terrace off me tomorrow, and you guys take over and you come in and go, hang on a minute, bloody hell, Terry's paying these 5 people, but if we keep paying them, the business is going to go bankrupt. You then have to let those people go and you can't pay them anymore. You're not the arseholes. I'm the moron for overemploying. But we had to do all these things. I knew we'd sort ourselves out financially because we were run like an absolute joke. It didn't transpire onto the pitch in the first season. We got it wrong with 2 managers, and I condemned them for that. We got it wrong with Ashworth, and I condemned it for that. But transfers have, by and large, been pretty good under Ineos. The Carrick appointment so far looks pretty good. I'm more concerned about the managerial appointment and getting that right. But summer-wise, I'm really excited about who we can bring in and the direction that Man United are going in now. And I hope they turn this round because Ineos started terribly. They've done some really bad things. I lost a lot of faith in them. And the only people that can give me faith back in them is them. So, more
you
power.
have to continue doing what you did last summer, which is sign Premier League proven players.
Yes,
I think that helped you with Mbeumo.
I agree. Like, you guys mentioned a good DM, like someone that we should be looking at, like go after someone, bring in a Tonali. You add a Tonali and a Wharton to this team, you go and get a very good winger. Go and get a good winger, maybe a striker, throw in a new fullback. If we can do that, United will maintain what we've done this season.
You see that, Mo? Already he's mentioned 5 players. We haven't even gotten to the centre backs, a backup for Lemens, a left back.
They don't need a centre back.
That's the thing.
They don't need a centre back. They need a starting right back. Even though the starting right back,
they don't need a centre back. Who's their 2 centre backs?
Lisandro Martinez, De Ligt, Heaven, Euro, Maguire. That's
I said they're 2 centre backs because you want to mention
Maguire, Lisandro, and De Ligt. Great.
Okay, is that better than Van Dijk and Konate?
The Konate is not even staying. You haven't even signed Konate, which is another guy that you need to sign yet.
Oh my God! Now you're changing the narrative.
I'm not changing the narrative. Currently,
talking
it
as
stands,
things
United,
stand.
as it stands, Konate is leaving on a free. You need a centre back.
Okay,
You need
so
a
you're
striker.
gonna use like
Van
this
Dijk,
one thing.
Van Dijk is on the decline.
Okay,
Same as
Alisson's better than
Casemiro.
Lemon.
As it stands, Casemiro might stay 1 year.
Okay.
I can do the same game.
Okay,
bro.
you can keep
I can do the
keep
same
Casemiro.
game.
That's fine.
I can do the same game.
I mean, we can get
I'm not
I mean,
playing a game. You're the one playing a game. You can keep Casemiro.
I'm not.
Keep Casemiro.
You know
no
the problem.
Keep
You know
him.
the problem with Man
Keep
United
Casemiro.
is-
I'd rather have Gravenberg because Casemiro is 15 years older.
and
Like,
you need two wingers. You need
and
two wingers.
Gravenberg is
Sporting
already a
wingers.
title-winning DM. What's your point?
Is he good enough for you to be a DM?
That's not the point.
That's
We're
the
talking
point.
about winning the league. That's your logic. Your logic is the trajectory of winning a league. I have
You're
a
not
13
winning the
year,
league, these
I have
guys.
a 13-year sample size of Man United struggling while being in Europe and in the Premier League since Ferguson left. Man United
Yes,
need,
yes.
if they want to win the league, they need to not just improve their starting 11, they need to improve their squad as well. Because as good as Lemens is, if God forbid he's injured for 5 games, that will cost them in a title race. If the likes of a Bayindir has to play and all of a sudden they lose 4 out of 5 games or something like that. I don't think the backup center backs that they have is good enough to win a league title. Neither are their backup full backs. You're looking at the midfield situation. The 2 players that Terry just mentioned, by the way, Wharton and Baleba, that alone is like 170 million right there. Just two pivot players alone is 170 million. I'm not saying Man United can't sign them both.
I don't really want to get sidetracked into a Liverpool debate on this because I'm not too interested in it. But when you just say, Mo, that this squad of Liverpool's can't win the league, the majority of them won the league last year. So the idea of the idea of hiring a new manager that improves the whole group and replacing a couple of players with the money they're going to spend, the idea that they can't win the league is crazy. We've got to wait and see who they buy. But they say if Mo Salah's probably going to leave. If Mo Salah leaves and Elise comes in, who they're heavily linked to,
it's a big if for you to say.
Yeah, but then it's just as big as your if. That
you sign Elise. What if you?
Your own words. This version of Mo Ryan is better than him.
There we go.
Your own words.
I want to address this comment just back to United that says 1.3 billion in debt, so no profit. So Simon, this is the problem when financially illiterate people speak on the finances. Your debt is nothing to do with your P&L. Your debt, other than the payments that come out of your P&L to pay for it. So when you include all of our payments for our debts, we are still making a profit. The debts go on your balance sheet, and you have debtors and you have creditors, and then they balance themselves off. And because of the value of Manchester United and our assets, even with the debt that we have, we are still a net positive in valuation. So if we scale it down to normal people, if I have a car that's worth £100,000, but I owe £50,000 on it, okay, my salary comes in at £5,000 a month, and my outgoings a month for £3,000. Essentially, I'm making £1,500 a month profit, disposable income that I can invest into savings. But then I have a £100,000 asset and a £50,000 debt, which means on my balance sheet I'm plus 50,000 in the positive. So as though United have debts, it doesn't mean that we can't make a profit as a football club. Also, about half of that debt is transfer debt. Okay, some of it's owed to football clubs. Equally, we're owed millions from football clubs, and also some of it is bank debt. But the reason why a lot of clubs borrow from banks and have debt on their book is because they don't like to spend their own cash reserves. Why? Because you can often get a 3 to 4 to 5, sometimes as high as a 7% yield. That's interest on large balances that you hold with your bank, where you can borrow the same amount of money from them to buy a player a couple of percent. So if you have 50 million in your bank and you're going to buy a player, if you spend your own 50 million, you're losing 5% of interest on that money per year. Where if you borrow it, you're only paying 2%, 3% interest, meaning overall, you're making money on your savings. So never ever use your own money for anything if you can borrow it at a lower rate than the savings account that it's in. So again, financially illiterate people like you shouldn't get involved in conversations with the big boys. Stick to talking about net spend. Mo getting drunk on
Dunked on, we love to see it. Yes, just dunked on him directly.
Hassan is dumb. If Arteta wins, he'll be the first manager to beat Pep in a title race. Okay, we'll touch on that later in the show. I don't know where that's come from. That's kind of out of nowhere. We'll talk on that.
I can respond to it very quickly. Nothing will change Klopp's legacy at Liverpool. Klopp built Liverpool from the ground up, and Klopp's job at Liverpool was more difficult than Arteta's job at Arsenal. It's the reality.
Klopp's job at Liverpool was harder than Arteta's.
Yeah. Klopp had the most difficult rebuilding job in history in the Premier League, probably since Ferguson in the 90s. When we're talking about rebuilding, like the squad that Klopp took over was the most difficult squad to rebuild ever. And he won a Champions League and a Premier League within 4 years. So he's already, like, nothing that Arteta will do is going to overtake Klopp's rebuilding job, because Klopp within 3 years was a Champions League winner and within 4 years was a Premier League winner with a much more difficult squad to rebuild on.
Viewers, give us your thoughts. I mean, me and Mo ain't challenging. I just wanted to hear what you had to say there. Interesting take. Moving on from the Man United side of things. Sorry, let me just timestamp where we are in the show now. Have you both seen the overlap from yesterday, or the segments?
I haven't.
From yesterday.
I haven't.
So
to be honest with you.
it obviously came up yesterday about the 115, and there was a talk about 60 to 80 point deductions being made towards City in some of the media afterwards. There was talk. I mean, it was revealed by Kieran Maguire. I hadn't heard this before. Over 500,000 pieces of evidence going in both directions. Fairly even amount in each direction, so around 200 to 300,000 from each party to sieve through, which I think goes some way to explaining why it's taken so long for a conclusion, because this all needs to be written up, and every single bit of evidence and every single challenge in each direction, then there's a response to it all. So it completely makes sense why it's taken over a year to get an actual, to give an example, there was a massive case in the UK not long ago about a serial killer, which is obviously very, very serious, about the murder of 30 to 40 people, babies they were. And in that court case, there was only 30,000 pieces of evidence. I'm trying to put it into context about how many bits of evidence there is, right?
500,000 pieces of evidence is fucking crazy, bro.
It's crazy. No, it's crazy, right? So that's why I think it's gone so long. But on the show, they were talking about what the punishments would be. And there's been a lot of people speaking about it online since. So I want to preface this from the beginning so that nobody gets triggered. We know they are innocent until proven guilty. And if they have the unequivocal evidence and it's proven to be a witch hunt and it's all false and there was no validity to it, from me, we'll say fair play to City. You're terrible Premier League.
For you.
Yeah, but we're sitting here and we're talking about from the basis that they are found guilty of the most serious allegations against them, because some of the people tried to deflect on that on the overlap yesterday. And Ellie, who's a Forest fan, just sort of, it was like, well, guilty of what? And she just sort of shook her head and was like, I can't believe we're acting like children here. Of course, when people say if City are guilty, they mean of the worst charges. And I wanted to pose it to you guys because Wayne Rooney said that he as a player would feel sorry for the City players, and he doesn't think he would feel cheated out of those early Premier League titles like 2012, the Aguero moment as an example. There are City fans on the show and collectively that say, well, whatever the punishment is, you can't take our memories away. We still won those trophies and we'll always see it as we won those trophies. When you look at the punishment and how this is going to impact football, if they are guilty, what should that punishment be, Hussam?
I think if they are guilty, then they deserve the most harsh punishment. Like is what happened to Juventus. For me, they need to be stripped of their accomplishments, and there need to be a serious, if they are actually found guilty via court, forget our opinion, because the court of public opinion has already deemed the City guilty from the public eye. If we're talking about like most Premier League fans, if I line up 100 Premier League fans, probably 80% of them, 75% of them will say like City are guilty anyway. But if we're talking from a court perspective, if a court strips, finds them guilty, then in my opinion, they should be stripped of their league titles. I think, obviously, and they deserve harsh punishments like relegation and stuff like that, because you can't cheat your way to winning Premier League titles. As to the City fans that say, you cannot take our memories away, it's not about us taking it away. Your memories just won't be mentioned. Your memories won't be looked at the same in the general football conversations. When we're talking about the general football conversations when it comes to Manchester City, people will take away those things. So it's not your memories. Great. Your memories are fantastic. But guess what? Now you don't have league titles. So who cares about your memories? The facts are the facts at the end of the day. So for me, if they are found guilty from a court perspective, I think they deserve the harshest punishments. And I think over the last probably 2 to 3 years, they've done things differently with selling players and blah blah blah. If we're talking about how they got to that stage, it's two different things, to be honest with you.
I actually agree with Hussam on one thing. If legally they are found guilty, you have to punish them as the maximum punishment. This point deduction thing or something, it's not enough if you are found guilty. Even though I think that City shouldn't be found guilty in this. I know that the rules are not the rules and all the stuff, but morally, I don't think that City did anything wrong, in my opinion. No, I don't think so. And I've said that before many times. I think that City should have been allowed to spend to catch up to Liverpool and Arsenal. I've said that many times. However, sometimes the law is the law. Sometimes the rules are the rules. And
I don't think Juventus did anything wrong.
No, there is a difference between actually talking to the referees to get favorable calls on the pitch and actually trying to spend to actually catch up.
Oh, really? So
Yes.
if you spend unfairly, which one's worse?
I don't think it's unfairly. That's the thing. There is a moral and there is legal thing. I give you an example. I'm going to give you an example. If someone stole something from me and legally, I'm not saying it's the same, but I'm just going to give you an example. If someone stole something from me and legally I cannot get my stuff back. If I go and get my stuff back, steal it back, legally, it's illegal. I should go to jail. Morally, I did the right thing. That's my point.
Hang on, morally. So they signed, this is why I think your claim is wrong. I get that people that say the rules and the laws of the game shouldn't be there. But the biggest reason they're there, forget the conspiracy theorists and the red cartel nonsense. The reason those laws are there is so that clubs are not left with debts that they cannot themselves physically cope with if their owners are to leave. For instance, Roman had £1.6 billion owed to him by Chelsea. Now, he wrote that off. Not every owner would do that. If you continue to allow clubs to run up those kind of debts with huge billionaire owners, that would happen. However, we park that. Some people think that rule should go. But Man City signed up to compete under those rules and said, we agree to them. To then circumvent the rules that they've agreed to, how is that moral? If you, again, I'll give you an example. You marry somebody, whether you do it religiously or civilly, you are agreeing to a binding contract between you and another person. There's loads of things you can do that are not illegal, but you're still breaking that contract of marriage. That in itself is the definition.
I don't know the ins and outs. Okay, so I don't know if City were forced to sign this. Otherwise, they wouldn't. I'm not sure if City voted yes for this or not. I don't know who voted. I don't know who brought PSR there.
Sorry. But now you're doing what they did, and you're doing what their phrase was, the tyranny of the majority. But that's democracy for you. Loads of clubs, like Man Utd, for instance, and Liverpool, both pushed to have the majority of the TV money be given to them. This is 15 years ago. Why? Because we were bringing in the majority of the numbers. We got outvoted 18-2 by all the other clubs. This is the equivalent of Man Utd and Liverpool going, well, but because Mo said that we were forced into this TV deal that we didn't want, we can go off by ourselves and do our own TV deals and sell our own rights off to other countries without consulting the Premier League. This is the point. Everybody tries to get rules through. Every club in the Prem at times has pushed for a rule that has been rejected. Your defending of City by saying, well, they were forced into it, means that we can all then just go and break rules that we didn't win on the vote. And if every team does that, you're in anarchy and there's no league anymore.
Same with Newcastle, by the way.
I don't know who voted for it. I don't know. I actually don't. If City spent a little bit more and they didn't go, if the reason for PSR, or whatever, like the PSR is for City not to go into debt and clubs not to go into debt, City didn't go into debt. The are very well-run club now. So the reason for that rule doesn't apply here. If that was why the law was, if that is why the law was introduced, so the law was introduced to prevent something that didn't happen to City. If the law was introduced to protect certain clubs, City has the right to actually spend money to catch up to them.
What's your question, Mo? Have you ever died in a car crash for not wearing a seatbelt?
I didn't. I'm here.
Okay, so you haven't died because you didn't wear a seatbelt. Well, the law is in place that you have to wear a seatbelt in America. The law in the UK, you have to wear a seatbelt. We haven't all been killed by it. Just because there's a law that was brought in to protect City. Just because City weren't damaged by the potential bad outcome of that law doesn't mean they don't have to abide by it.
No, that's completely different, actually.
No,
It has
it
nothing
isn't.
to do with it.
You said
It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with it.
It is everything to do with it. You just said.
I'm gonna explain to you. This is for someone to catch up to you, to be faster in the race. If someone introduced something to someone to be slower in the race, right? To say that, oh yeah, we're doing that because you can be. We protect others. For example, if someone already has like two teams have faster cars, and someone is prevented from introducing a technology because it might damage other cars because they don't know how to manage that technology. Their car might explode in the race. So this guy is like, but I know how to spend the money to get that technology to catch up to you guys fast cars. He's like, no. But the law is there because others might have their cars
But again,
by them and people
But that's
die.
not the reason why the law is there, and Terry's mentioned this 100 times.
He literally mentioned the reason.
No, the reason why the law is
mentioned the
there
reason.
is so clubs don't go bankrupt, Mo.
And City didn't go back. It's
Terry's brought
exactly
this up
that.
before. And
It's
explained
exactly,
it.
man. Yes. No. I respond to Assam, and I respond to Assam.
No, let me respond, please. Let me just respond. But that's your response. It's so infuriating because it makes no sense. Because whether we're talking criminal law or civil law or respecting the demands of a business, I can't walk into a bank wearing a crash helmet because it's against the rules, the law, the rules of banks. I'm not going to rob the bank, but because other people have with a crash helmet on, I can't wear one either. This idea that City, because City's owners might not have bankrupted them, that the rule shouldn't apply to the whole of football because so many billionaires, so many rich people have gone into football clubs like Leyton Orient, like Rangers, like QPR, like Portsmouth, and then at all levels,
Bordeaux in different countries as well.
Absolutely ruined them. And we're running up these massive debts. The idea that it shouldn't be in place because one owner might not have messed up is crazy. You can't live life like that. You know, you can't just go, right, well, I've never had a crash, so therefore I don't think I should have to wear a seatbelt. I've never robbed a bank, so I can go into a bank with a crash helmet on. I've never hijacked a plane, so I can take a knife on with me. Like, where do you draw the line on this stuff? Like,
no, you're
very simple.
Like
am I debating? Okay,
but when the rule was implemented,
should I respond to him? Should I respond to him? Should I respond to him? I need to respond.
We don't know.
I need to respond to him. I need to respond to him first. I didn't hear what he said. I need to respond to him. Like, I'm not going to respond to two people, one at a time. Number one, literally, I can't respond to you because your point is going to be that you're saying what you said, Terry, is correct. However, the law here is someone has a faster car. This is it. We know that some clubs are ahead in the curve. Chelsea were able to catch up before the law was introduced. Yes. So why were Chelsea allowed to catch up before the law was introduced?
So I understand that. So sometimes in life, and this happened right across the board, you don't know what you don't know until you're in that situation. Chelsea's owners came in the summer of 2003, I think it was, and they started spending money like we'd never seen before in England. Forget Liverpool getting the Littlewood sponsor in the 70s. Forget Blackburn's money in the early 90s. The volume of money being spent was beyond that. It was about 500% to 600% more being spent than at any other time, and nobody could compete with it. And at first, it was seen as cheating by fans were bitter about it and everything else. But what then started to happen is we started to see more and more ownership models like this across football at different levels, but the outcome being the same. You had people taking over clubs like Portsmouth, and they spent far more money than Portsmouth could afford. Yes, they won the FA Cup. Yes, they had a few good seasons. But as soon as the money ran out, or the ownership lost their money, or the ownership turned around and said, I don't want to do this anymore, the club nearly went out of business. West Ham United had fairly rich owners. And because they started spending money they couldn't afford to spend, they had a debt of around £60 million. And because of an ash cloud, their ownership lost all their money. Their ownership didn't have the money to run the club anymore. They could have gone out of business over 60 million. So what the Premier League and the EFL and the FA, UEFA started looking at is, hang on a minute, if £60 million could put a club the size of West Ham almost out of business, can you imagine if they have an owner that run up a £500 million debt over a 10-year period, and then an ash cloud happens and they lose their money? No one's rescuing you from that. And the problem is that they have to create a rule that protects everybody. I understand that City want to close the gap on Man United. Newcastle want to close the gap on Man City now. But there's no rule that stops them from doing that. They can grow their fan base. They can make their squad better each year. They can grow in the league. They can have sustained success. They can bring in legitimate sponsorships as their success grows. They can bring in legitimate partnerships and continue to grow their revenue every single year. Because this has always been my argument to people that say it holds you back. If City haven't cheated, how do they now have a revenue as big as Real Madrid's? And if City can go from a club their size, which was smaller than Newcastle, in the space of 10 years have the revenue of Real Madrid without cheating, this new model doesn't stop clubs from growing. This new model can't stop you from growing.
It doesn't. And the prime example is Newcastle in the summer. The decisions that the football clubs make is on them. This has nothing to do with the rules. Newcastle decided to pay 50 million for Anthony Elanga. That's on them. That's not on me. That's not on Mo. That's not on Terry. That's on them. They made the financial decision to spend 50 million pounds on Anthony Elanga. That's a you problem. If you wanted to buy a better winger for the same money, you could have done so. But instead, you decided to choose to buy Anthony Elanga. So this notion that clubs can't catch up is a bullshit notion. It's absolute rubbish that the clubs cannot catch up. Because how did Aston Villa catch up? Aston Villa are literally in the midst of us right now. Because why? Because they have a very good manager in Unai Emery. And they made 3 to 4 very good signings. And they had 2 to 3 academy kids come through. And guess what? They're cooking right now. It's this notion that you can't catch up. If Aston Villa continue on this trajectory and win the Europa League this season and make 2 to 3 good signings in the summer, they will challenge seriously next season. What's stopping them?
But you look at this here that says Newcastle can't bring in better sponsorships. It got blocked. If they're not in market value, if there is no rational reason that a company would give you more money than it would give Real Madrid, absolutely, because there's no logical reason why a company would go, right, we're going to buy the stadium naming rights of Newcastle. How much are you going to give them? Well, it's double what Real Madrid currently get for theirs, or double what Barcelona get. It makes no sense. If you come with sponsorships that are in line with a club your size, they are not going to be rejected. And it's about growing over a period of time. Man United, go back 20 years ago and look what our revenue was compared to now. We had to grow it ourselves. You know, at the end of the day, it is doable. People just want to circumvent it. And the problem is, everybody thinks, oh, I've got this new billionaire owner. They're going to run me so well. I mean, you've only got to look at Chelsea. Look how a lot of Chelsea fans are protesting because they think £1 billion has been wasted on players. Now, the only difference between Chelsea and the smaller clubs is that they already have the assets and the revenue and fan base growth of the last 20 years to rescue them. Could you imagine if an ownership model like that took over a club the size of Everton, spent that amount of money, and then went, well, there's nothing left to spend now. And they're sitting there with £1 billion of debt. They're finished. They ain't got the...
It's already happened to clubs outside England, guys. Please go read the story of Bordeaux.
I need to respond to
Bordeaux
this.
was a historic
you guys are
club.
literally, you guys are yelling and screaming for something. I didn't argue.
I remember growing up, I watched Bordeaux.
I swear to God, I'm already annoyed.
I was mid-sentence,
bro. Let me respond.
Let me finish. I was
mid to respond to him for real.
You can respond. I was just going to say something for 30 seconds.
And then he's responding to you.
I'm not responding to him. I'm bringing up an example of something that he said. You need to calm down. I didn't interrupt you. I was the one that started speaking. With Bordeaux, I grew up. I remember them winning the Ligue A. They got to like the 5th division of the French league because of what happened to their football club. So these things have happened. And the Chelsea example, funnily enough, Mo himself says, it's not my problem that you spend it on youngsters. He said it himself. It's not our issue. This summer, Chelsea were linked to Ekitike. They were linked to before anyone else. They were linked to Semenyo before anyone else. They were linked to Hinchkapi before anyone else. If we go back just 5 months, just 5-6 months ago, I'm not going to go back that long. Just summer 2025. If I go back to summer 2025 and Chelsea make 4 to 5 correct transfer decisions, just 4 to 5 correct transfer decisions, they're possibly winning the league right now.
I forgot what Terry said.
Okay, just very quickly, just might remind you, right? I went and looked at some of the clubs that
Wallah al-Azim, I forgot what I said.
I just went and looked.
I was going to respond to a point and I forgot what his point was.
I want to get back to the punishment.
Football clubs going broke.
Guys.
Okay. I got you now. I got this. No, it's gone.
Let me just say what I'm about to say. It might trigger the memory. It might just trigger the memory. Slow down, calm down. So I just went and looked at clubs that have been declared bankrupts, and you've got to remember these rules that came in the late noughties, so between sort of 09 and 2011. Napoli went bankrupt in 2004 for 70 million euros of debt. Fiorentina went bankrupt over $50 million worth of debt. Rangers, it was around 20 million of debt. Burnley went out of business over 12 million pound of debt. Leeds went into liquidation, okay, in the 2000s for a much smaller amount of money than the debt that gets risen by the billionaire owners. And what I mean by that, when you look at debt, you've got to look at this in multiple ways. That isn't just bank debt. That is, imagine a club the size of Leeds United with their fan base, and that's just having the same wage bill as City. So nothing astronomical, but a club that turns over, say, 250 million pound a year. Imagine the authorities say you've got this new owner who's from Mars, right? We're not going to put a location on it because people will get offended. Who's from Mars, and we're going to let them spend whatever they want. And they're buying every player in the world, and they've got a 500 million pound wage bill. Let's just say that Donald Trump decides to declare war on Mars, okay? And suddenly that owner's got to go and sell the club. And in anger that he's being... Now, Roman didn't do this, but there was no guarantees everyone's going to be Roman Abramovich. We'd all agree on that, right? What if that ownership then goes, well, I'm calling in my debt. I want my money back. Or I'm not going to cover the salaries that I've put out there for all these players. Fuck you guys. You can take the club off me, but I ain't honoring those contracts. You then have a club that only organically makes 250 million pound a year with a 500 million pound a year debt each year for the next 5 years on those contracts. That isn't just a debt that will get, they can't go bankrupt on that and then just start again. That is too big. That is evisceration. That is the snap. That club turns to dust if that happens. That the authorities were absolutely right. When you go back to the time when they started implementing these rules, clubs were going out of business for 50 and 60, massive clubs, for 50 and 60 million pounds of debt. Can you imagine letting them run up $500 million to $1 billion worth of debts? And
No, I can't.
The Wild West, it would be crazy to
I
do
can't.
that.
I can't because it's wrong. To allow people to spend over their limit to go bankrupt is wrong. No one said otherwise.
So
I never said that. I never said that. I never won that in football. I do want half the Premier League.
But why you? Hang on, sorry,
Am
Mo.
I going to respond, please?
Mo, but I want to address something.
Go ahead again.
But Mo, you've just said you've just said that you don't want that. The rules don't stop you from spending. They just stop you from spending over your means. You're arguing with the rules, but you're saying you agree with the rules.
Did City spend over their means?
Initially, yes. When they first got taken over, yes.
So here is the deal. City should have been allowed to spend exactly as Liverpool, Man United, and the others to be able to catch up to them. That is my point.
But they couldn't.
There should be guarantees.
No,
I need to finish that next point. Is going to make up your finish point. The next point is going to make up people's mind. I know that people made up their mind that they're guilty. And I think they are guilty. That's what people don't understand. I think that City broke the rules to catch up. I think the rules were actually tailored wrong. I think the rules were put wrong. I'm not saying that people should go bankrupt and overspend and everything, but you should have a way to manage the way you spend versus your debt. You should put something in the bank. I'm not a financial advisor. Terry knows this more than me. You should have a way to guarantee that if you walk out of the club, your debt is paid if you have the money to spend it. And that is the thing. Me and Osam have discussed this on MHF already. We have said one thing. I think that all clubs should be allowed to spend exactly the same as long as you have a guaranteed that you as an owner should be able to cover the debt on the club. Let me finish the next point. However, we know that we'll never have a level playing field because not every club is as attractive as the other. Not every club has the same amount of riches as the owners. However, if we limit what everyone can spend, and it shouldn't be related to your income, it should be related to the club that spends the most. So if Liverpool are allowed to spend $500 million a year, Luton should be allowed, if they want, if they can, to spend $500 million if their owner can guarantee to cover it.
Okay, so this is the thing. not once on any Premier League meeting of any of these billionaire owners offered. Because remember, the Premier League don't make the rules. The clubs do. The owners of the club make the rules. At no point, and if somebody can find me the evidence of where this was suggested, show me. But at no point have I read anywhere ever that the billionaire owners have gone to the Premier League and said, we want to put a proposal together to say, let us spend what we want, but we will put that money, any debt we create through salaries and loans, we will put that money into a bond somewhere so the club's protected. If they suggested that, if they suggested it, it would get voted in, or it could be voted in. But they don't suggest it. Why? Because they have got no desire in taking their own personal cash and sticking it into a bank account the Premier League holds onto. They don't suggest it. So as much as it would be a reason that would work, they don't do it. Now, the rules are clear. Every club in the Premier League can spend exactly the same amount of money as the next, as long as they can afford it. And that is right, because we have to protect football clubs. But away from that, because we've made some points on it. Sam, your point around the punishment, if we get back to it, I've listened to a lot of people talk about this in the last few days. And if I'm being honest with you, I was a little disappointed in Wayne Rooney, although I understand where he's coming from when he said that he'll feel sorry for the City players, because I would to a degree, because the City players didn't know that the club was. Remember,
it's not Aguero's fault.
Yeah. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, we're sitting in the world where they've been found guilty. Hypothetically, please don't cry.
No, but if City's found guilty, it's not Aguero's fault. But with all due respect, Aguero, Man City signing Aguero deprived Man United from winning the title. Pep Guardiola deprived Liverpool from winning the title. Pep Guardiola took point. So with you guys here, this is what you need to open your brain to what I'm saying a little bit, both of you.
I was about to say what you're saying.
I am saying that if City are found guilty and they break the law and the court found them guilty, I believe I agree with Osam here. I disagree with the law itself, but I think if you break the law and you agree to the law, fine. If you find guilty, you should be stripped. That's the right punishment for me.
You've just sat here and said do you agree with the law? But anyway, we'll get away from that. We'll move that. I was disappointed with Wayne Rooney because
it's
for
too
me,
complicated for some people to comprehend what I say. Actually, generally, by the way, probably not you guys in the chat, especially in the chat. People are really not comprehending.
Can I speak, please?
What are you annoyed? You interrupted me many times. Why are you get annoyed now? You allowed him.
I'm hosting
plenty of times. You allowed him, but you're not allowed him.
I'm muted.
I spoke for 30 seconds, brother.
Go ahead.
I was very disappointed with Wayne Rooney because I know he's looking at it from the player's side. Aguero didn't treat, David Silva didn't cheat. But I think you're right, Mo. What he missed is that there is this potential world where those players couldn't and shouldn't have been there. And then I heard Luke on the show say, you can't take our memories away. And I agree with you wholeheartedly, Hassam. Your memory, you'll remember the Aguero moment. You'll remember lifting all these trophies, but they will never be shown on TV again, other than when it's a documentary about the cheating, other than when it's in reference to it. It will be stricken because it shouldn't exist anymore. And that's why when people go on about points deductions and transfer bans, that does need to happen. There does need to be a points deduction or a transfer ban, but you cannot allow the achievements, if they are guilty of these 115 charges, and I'm talking about the big financial charges, for them to maintain the trophies that they won. Otherwise, honestly, where is the deterrent? Because then if I was a multi-billionaire owner, I'd look at that and go, well, we might as well cheat. Then whatever we win, whatever we achieve, whatever history we create, when we get caught in 10, 20 years' time, we keep the trophies, we keep the records, we keep the achievements, we keep the trebles, we keep the this, the that, the other. And all we get is, oh, look at that, 60-point deduction spread over a 3-year period. Great. It means they won't win the league for 3 years, most likely, but they keep everything else. I don't see that as a bad. If someone said to me now, Terry, if you commit this financial crime, you're going to become a billionaire. You're going to have Bugattis and houses and cars, everything. Your kids are going to go to the best schools. In 10 years' time, you're going to get caught and you're going to spend 5 years in prison, but you keep all the money and assets. Why would I not do it? What would
exactly. Now, here's the thing. This is Terry's point now. Moving forward, let's say the primary logic of what Mo says happens. If I'm Newcastle's owner, this is what I do, right? If the punishment is like, oh yeah, we're not going to strip their titles away. We're just going to give them a 3-window transfer ban and like 60, whatever, like 20 points deduction, right? Whatever it is. If I'm Newcastle's owner now and I listen to that, In the summer, I'm going to spend 700 million, create the best squad in the Premier League, win the league for the next 3 years, hire the best manager possible, win the Champions League. And then 3 years later, guess what? Oh, you want to punish me? Oh, cool. Okay, punish me. Give me 20 points deduction.
This is why I disagreed with you. This is where I disagreed with you. I told you that Newcastle should not be allowed to limitless spending because they would outspend everyone. So I told you this. They shouldn't be allowed to overspend over everyone. I told you this. You know that I agree that Newcastle shouldn't be allowed to spend.
But it isn't. It's not even about. It's not about limitless spending. It's about what Newcastle could do, what Man United could do with Ineos, what Arsenal could do with the Cronkies. What any team could then turn around and go, do you know what? We're just going to create some new sponsors, right? That are over-egged. We'll backfill the money in, right? We'll do it all. We'll cross the I's and dot the T's. We'll try and cover it up and protect it. We might not even get caught, but we'll just all start cheating. For me, I would punish this how you would punish a criminal that's made a financial empire. You remove and strip all the assets that have been grown, and then you give them the punishment in real time. So for me, if they're guilty of everything, every single trophy that and this is why I think the court case has taken a long time. It may be they still haven't made a decision. My gut feeling is they've made a decision months ago. They're writing it all up. Because when they announce what the decision is, they can't just go, they're guilty, and everyone sits there going, of what? How much? They need to be able to present everything at the same time. And I think this is going to be a document that's this thick. I think it's going to be huge, what's in this in terms of detail. So for me, it's a case of if they're guilty, and remember, we're in that hypothetical world, I would strip every trophy that the judges, remember they're independent to the Premier League, deemed that they were helped to win. And that might even include trophies after 2018, because it may be deemed, well, if that financial irregularities led to these trophies and these Champions League qualifications, and then that money came in and they got the new sponsors because of that, it's the pyramid effect. They might decide, right, it's 3 league titles, it's these FA Cups, it's this, it's that, and the other. They then might look at it and say, well, you pumped in £1 billion of money that you shouldn't have had. That led to winning this. That led to an extra 3 billion in revenue you only got because you cheated. Therefore, your fine is going to be 25% of that, and you've got to pay it over a 10-year period. Because the one thing I don't want them to do is put the club out of business, because that circumvents the whole idea of these rules in the first place. And then it should be a points deduction. Okay, and the points deduction should be, because the big fine spread over a 10-year period impacts them. They're not a transfer ban, but they ain't got that much, and the club has to pay the debt, not the ownership. And then what you do is go, right, and there's an £80 points deduction, 60 points, 80 points deduction, but then you spread it over the amount of years that you prove they cheated for. So if it's 9 years of cheating and they get an 80 points deduction, it's like 8-9 points a year they get deducted along with the financial issues, and they get stripped. If you do that, and this is only in the world where City have cheated, no club is ever going to cheat again in the Premier League. They are never going to take that risk of doing things that wrong. And it's a deterrent. And what that does, it stops any team from doing it. And yes, it'll be horrible, because all those years of great moments and title races, all of it. And by the way, before anyone writes it in the live chat or the comment section, I'm not even suggesting the team that came second should win the trophy. The reason why is that's even hard to work out. You know, it's so hard to work out who deserves it. Does the team they beat in the FA Cup final deserve the trophy? What about the team they knocked out in the semi-finals? You don't have to give the trophy to anybody else.
And what's as well the other effects? Like, what if the reason why Norwich got relegated and blah 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 got relegated
is a goal scored by Man City?
Is a goal scored by Man City? Maybe they lost 5-0 to like they lost 5-0 to Man City, and that's one of the reasons why they got relegated. You never know. You know, it's a butterfly effect. You know, just as well
you go, bro. How long can you go?
That's the thing. It messes up everyone.
Jeremy here says that's Terry, that's punishing the players and the manager, not them. Well, but at the same time, yes, I understand. Well, no one's taking their money away. They're still getting paid. But at the end of the day, if the punishment is just we're going to find the owners of Man City £1 billion, they can afford to pay that. Then again, these rich owners are going to turn around and go, they're only cheated so they could win the trophies. To let them keep the trophies and allow them. This is the other side of it. There was a City. I
have a punishment that's very good after Terry.
Palace man that was on the show who said just sticking them in the Championship just makes a mockery of it. Because if City just got relegated, that was their punishment. They'd go down and they'd come straight back up and they'd go back to winning. And again, where's the deterrent? I would look at that as an own. Remember, we're not talking about financial, like legal crimes here, people dying or anything like this. We're talking about sport. I'd look at that as an owner and go, if you only get relegated for 1 year, then you're straight back up. It's worth taking the risk, isn't it? and you've got
Yeah,
to
so
stop.
I actually think this is how it should. I think the correct punishment is in relegation, is in point deduction, is in any of this. What happened. It's going forward. So what happened? You do it in reverse. As you forced Abramovich to sell, you force the owners of Manchester City, the government forces them to sell the club at a cut price, so they lose money, right, on their investment. They lose money in their investment, and you put a little bit of what is it called, transfer bans and stuff like this. So City, now you are kind of slowing the growth down a little bit after the rapid growth that happened over the last 15 years.
That's never going to happen. Political
They did it with Abramovich. Why did they do it in
political reasons?
So they can do it for this as well.
Historic relationships. What are we doing here? Relationship versus UAE versus relationship versus Russia.
Exactly. But I didn't say that they will do this. I said that I think this is the correct punishment. You force these owners out. I'm going to tell you something. Can I ask one more thing? I'm sorry. If someone within the family of the Premier League, one of the owners is scamming, aren't the other owners should be allowed to buy his shares and kick them out of the ownership? Isn't the Premier League owned by the clubs?
I understand.
As far as I know, this is what I know.
There is a point here in this whole debate, okay? And this is the point that City fans always bring up. They always go like, so how can the other clubs catch up? I want to ask you all a question. What stopped Newcastle from cementing themselves as a top 5 club this season? This is a legitimate question because they messed up 2 seasons ago, and this summer they messed up again. As you guys are speaking, I opened transfer market. I went to Newcastle summer. Do you know that Newcastle this summer spent 280 million euros? 280 million euros. Okay, watch this.
Spent a lot of money.
Watch this. 75 million euro, Walter made. 61 million euro, Ilanga. 58 million euro, Wissa. 45 million euro, Jacob Ramsey. 35 million euro, Malik Tiao. I think if me, Terry, and Mo did a transfer window for Newcastle with the same exact budget, we would have had Newcastle in a better position. Even just us, just looking at the players around the world. So what's stopping them from catching up? Because Newcastle, as an example, are in a place where they have a massive stadium, they have a massive fan base. By the way, Newcastle have worldwide fans too, not just Geordies. People support Newcastle from around the world too. It's a thing. Now, I'm not saying they're nowhere near like Liverpool, Arsenal, City, Chelsea, none of these, but they're like probably like the club after the big 6 that's the most supported. If they went in the summer, they made 5-6 transfer decisions that are correct. The summer after made 5-6 transfer decisions that are correct. They've cemented themselves in the top 5. Now you go ahead and you challenge. You sack Eddie Howe. You hire a Carlo Ancelotti. You hire someone like that. Now you're successful. Who's stopping you?
Some things some things that some sitting on YouTube is smarter than all the owners of the other clubs.
No, I think I'm smarter than some sporting directors. You damn right I do. I wouldn't have paid 60 million for Visa. I wouldn't have paid 60 million for Ilanga.
I wouldn't.
Exactly. So you're smarter than him then. Who's the sporting director of Newcastle? Eddie Howe.
Running the football club. I know more about running the football club.
I want to move on, but I'm going to end it on this, right? It's not about Hussam. Like, when people say things like, is Hussam serious? Yes. The reason I want to end it on saying this, the reason certain clubs don't grow is because of bad decision making. And when people go, how can you catch up? Let me tell you why. 12 years ago, Tottenham's turnover was £200 million a year. Tottenham's turnover is now over £600 million a year. Why? Because what they did for a period is they went and got a really good, exciting manager in Poch, and they started buying really good young talent. They developed Harry Kane, and that helped them as an example. But let's not pretend like Newcastle didn't have Isak. They developed Harry Kane. They bought really good players. They built a team that started to get into the top 4, then got into it for quite a few years on the bounce, was challenging for league titles. As they grew, their revenue went 216, 258, 280, 360, 428, 521. What did they do as their revenue started growing? They started building a brand new stadium that's going to generate hundreds of millions of pounds more for them. Yes, then the revenue dropped for 2 years. Why? Because there was no fans. Okay, you can't help that. No one controlled it. Now it's up to the £600 million mark. How did Spurs go from 200 million to nearly £700 million a year? By building a team that was progressing. It didn't win anything, but progressing, getting into the Champions League, staying in the Champions League, challenging. They started building a new stadium. Where did it start to go wrong? They spent more money in the last 6 years than Arsenal, but they bought bad players, hired the wrong managers. So now the revenue's there, but the quality of team isn't. The idea you can't catch them is a nonsense. The idea, there's nothing that's stopping over the next few decades Newcastle becoming a bigger team than Man United. How you do it is by great recruitment, getting the right managers, winning on the pitch, and growing your fan base. Man United and Liverpool are the size we are because of 100+ years of hard work and toil, success, progression, and regrowth again. You guys have just got to do what we did. And it is plausible and it is possible because teams like Brighton only had 20-30 million pound a year turnover 20 years ago. They're now near the 200-300 million pound a year mark. If they can go from 30 million to 300 million, what stops you going from 400 million to 600 million?
Nothing.
Being run well.
Exactly. And the other thing, Terry, sorry, I have to mention this example. And you know, I'm actually going to use my own club as an example. I'm going to use Liverpool Football Club, who 10 years ago made nowhere near the revenue we're making right now. Jurgen Klopp comes in. The transfer windows that we had at the start. What are the transfer windows we had at the start? Wijnaldum, Mane. By the way, doable for any club in the Premier League. 20 million Wijnaldum, Joe Gomez 2 million from Charlton, Andy Robertson 8 million from Hull, Jordan Henderson 20 million from Sunderland. We didn't make a single crazy wow transfer. And the moment we sold our asset, which was Alexander Isak, we sold Alexander Isak in the transfer, which is our Coutinho. We sold Coutinho. We made 2 unbelievable transfers. They worked out. Good scouting, good recruitment, and Liverpool are successful. Alexander Isak was sold this summer for 120 million. And you know what they replaced Alexander Isak with? 60 million Ilanga, 60 million Wissa. That's on you. That's not on anyone else. That's a decision you made. And you have to hold your own responsibility.
Last question before we do the super chats, guys. So if all of this is correct, and I think they're very logical in this, Sam and Terry. So I need someone to explain to me why Man City overspent. What was the reason? If that is that easy, why did they overspend?
Oh, Manchester City. But here's the thing. No, 1 second, Terry. 1 second. Manchester City in the beginning, just so you know, Mo, made a whole lot of mistakes. Benjani, Robinho, all these players that they signed. Please don't think that every transfer that City made was Aguero. They made like a lot of transfer errors and error. But guess what? If I give you 300 million 15 years ago to spend money and you buy 10 players, 6 of them are going to work out. 5 of them are going to work out. And then you end up building.
Yeah, so why did they overspend then? So why did City overspend? We need to move on. But
they wanted to win the league. They wanted to get to Man United's level, to Chelsea's level.
Okay.
So they overspent. The fact to use the word overspend and not spend proves the point.
But they wanted to fast track it, which is the thing. Someone here in the comments says, oh my God, so entitled. It's not about being entitled. I think the entitlement's the other way around. The entitlement is suggesting that there should be spending caps on teams like Man United and Liverpool and Arsenal and Chelsea and Tottenham, who have built their global audiences over 100+ year period, just because you've now got owners that are very rich that can't spend limitless amounts. And you suddenly want Man United to be limited to spending what Luton can spend because Luton haven't been successful as over 100 years. I think that's entitlement personally. Let's do some of these super chats here. There's quite a few of them. Big annual
communist approach to football as well.
I'm not for it. Big annual wage bill, 7 million rumors for perspective.
BG?
I think you mean Bruno Gumarães. I think you might mean there. I don't know. I don't know. Liverpool will stay. Spurs will stay up. City are going to save them. Maybe they will. Mo, you're wrong. Someone running faster than another is not illegal. Doing it via cheating and doping is illegal, which is the allegations against City, is what Tony said.
I explained it, Tony, with the car example, the technology in the car.
Just a deduction is a signal to Newcastle and rich clubs that you can cheat your way through FFP to the top teams, and at the worst, you lose a season. I agree. Mo, the APT ruling already favors City. The associated party transaction rule. That's not what they are guilty of. They're guilty of lying about the spending and covering up the lying. Very similar to Chelsea's situation, who obviously self-reported. Imagine a league where clubs could just cook the books and run up huge debts. Wouldn't this eventually end in disaster and be taken advantage of by bad owners? Absolutely. But like anything in life, things always get the minority always ruin it for the majority. Remember being at school And we used to have common rooms in our schools. When you got to like the highest year in the high school, we had like these common rooms where you all through school you really wanted to go into them because you kind of got into there was nothing that special in them really. You could make toast in them. They might have a pool table, but the older kids went in there. The year before we were allowed to go in, some kids messed around in there and took some drugs in there, and they got rid of the common room. And I can't tell you how angry I was. I waited 15 years of my schooling life to be able to go into the common room, and they banned it because of 3 kids. But that's life. These things happen. This narrative, PSR benefits the Red Cartel. Arsenal had to sell their best players for a decade for the likes of City and Chelsea, and then we slowly built
benefits the Red Cartel. What? You know how much Liverpool had to go through over the last 10 years? This is the first big transfer window I've had in my life. What benefits, brother? I bought Federico Chiesa 2 years ago, and you're talking about benefit. Please.
This is City. City committed real financial fraud. The amount spent is not the conversation to be had. It's where the money came from. They cooked the books. I mean, look, some of the allegations are that some of these sponsorship companies didn't even exist. They were like giving them £20 million a year and they were just a PO box in a wall somewhere. I'll go to that later. Overlap anti-City segment is from former United players, has no value or meaning. No new evidence has emerged, but speculation. Sir Alex Ferguson's legacy is erased. Never will be, mate. Clubs like Newcastle, Palace, Ajax, Monaco are examples of teams that get good and get gutted. A rule where clubs' outgoings get restricted and protected. I hear that. But the reason why the Monacos of this world struggle is because PSG are okay because they got the ownership, the connections, sponsors. It's because the leagues don't get the eyes. One of the biggest reasons why Serie A is struggling has nothing to do with coaching. It's because no one watches the league. And it's going to be free to watch on the BBC.
And Mo has not brought this up before. The production is crap. The marketing is crap. That's why players don't want to join. Because no one is watching Inter versus Cremonese on a Saturday. People, this is a fact. More people are more likely to watch Brighton versus Brentford than Inter Cremonese. And Mo will be the first one to tell you this. Because of the production, the marketing, the value.
I'm going to tell you guys something. I swear to God. If Juventus and Roma aren't challenging Inter for the league and Brentford are playing Newcastle, I would watch. Newcastle and Brentford are better presented on TV. And at the end, if it's not my club playing, I'm a consumer. I want the better product on TV. And the Italian product is not great. So I watch all the Inter games because I love the club, because I support the club for over 25 years. But I wouldn't watch Lazio, for example, play Roma if it doesn't affect me. If it doesn't affect my team and my team is winning the league, I'll only watch my team. Only watch my direct competitors.
And by the way, 20 years ago, when I was growing up in the Middle East and so was Mo, the story was completely different. Because Serie A had all the best players in the world, the best marketing, the best branding, the best deals, the best commercials. Everything was like incredible for the Serie A. They messed it up. That's on them.
So City signing Aguero would have been cheating, but if United signed him, it would have been fine. Well, potentially, yes. If City didn't have the money and the income to sign him and we're using him as an example because Rooney mentioned him. If they didn't have the income to sign him or pay his wages without circumventing the rules, yes, that's cheating. Man United couldn't afford to get Aguero. That's why we didn't go for him. The club didn't have the money for him, and we missed out on him. So maybe, though, if City are guilty, maybe the price wouldn't have been as much because City helped push the price up. Maybe we could have afforded him. But it's nothing to do with Man United. We were turning down players in that era because we didn't have the money for it, right? We couldn't compete financially against Liverpool, against Chelsea, and against City. And you can prove it because in that period from 2004 until 2013 when Fergie retired, in that period alone, City and Chelsea outspent Fergie's entire 25-year period. We couldn't compete. So, but if it turns out that they were only able to do that through cheating, they don't deserve those medals they won with it. Norway loves Milan. We kicked Italy out of the World Cup qualifier there. We dominated the Olympics there, and Bodo killed Inter there. That's crazy.
You guys, I'm going to tell you something that you guys don't know. Inter's most ridiculous part is actually against the Nordic clubs. Most actually embarrassing results. Go ahead.
I would City to non-league football, and 5 teams from the championship come up instead of 4. That's a fair point there, Mike, to be honest with you.
Guys, sorry, I'm sorry, Terry, but I have to do this. So the first transfer window after the takeover, this is very important because this actually makes our point. The first transfer window after City's takeover, they spent in 2009 157 million euros. Mo and Terry will tell you this right now. In today's market, that's probably 450 million, considering inflation. Yeah, watch this. Why did they sign this guy and that guy? 43 million euros Robinho, 24 million euros Joe, 80 million Nigel de Jong, 50 million Craig Bellamy, 30 million Wayne Bridge, 11 million Sean Wright Phillips, 9 million Shea Given, 9 million Zabaleta, 9 million company. I'm just looking at the first transfer window. I can go even to the year after and show you, and we can do multiple examples. The year after that, they spent 150 million euros. So they went essentially.
And by the way, very, very quickly, because we are running out of time, and we've got less than 20 minutes to do the Arsenal and Chelsea segment. But on top of that, some of these allegations are before these rules even came into place. So the emails that we all saw were after FFP and the PSR rules were in place. A lot of these allegations are from 2009 when their takeover first happened. And none of us even know what that's about. So my point is, some of this stuff isn't even about breaking the rules that we all know of. Some of this is before that. So I'm so intrigued to see what it looks like. But Mo, you open in the Premier League to money laundering.
I'm not a financial. I don't know what you meant by this, to be honest with you.
Bodo Glimt showed that football modern over rich owners. Yeah, they wouldn't do it regularly though. Just look at Bodo Glimt. It's possible.
The Norwegians are out here today. Let's go.
Last several months, Sam has been cooking plus Mo and Terry goats. Thank you, AMT. Appreciate that. City are guilty, in my opinion. You want to get a new stadium. You can't fill 70% of the Etihad seats at home. Your fan base online and in person isn't top 5. Yeah, it's going to look crazy when they open that with no one in it, because they don't sell it out now. It's mad. Calm down, Mo. Joe Gillimp. Calm down, man. It's so angry all the time. Terry, no FA investigation means no corruption. Into what? City, Liverpool cheated with shareholder loans, not City. Well, that wasn't considered cheating. They changed the rulings on it. So when the way Liverpool and Arsenal and these clubs did it was within the rules. When they changed the rules, the club changed what they were doing. That's the difference.
Stop doing it when the rules changed.
Yeah, because it wasn't against the rules when they were doing it. They then changed the rules and they changed their minds. That's a bit like I'm parking my car on a road and then you get a notice. It's from next week. There's going to be a double yellow line on that road. You don't deserve a ticket when there's no yellow line there. It's a weird thing to say. Why was that rule deemed illegal then? What rule?
Which rule, Dom?
What rule? My chats are a bit late. So, okay, some people have put things in, then we've addressed it because they've come a bit later. Look, people, like, share, and subscribe. It's a really good debate and really good chat about this. This weekend, gentlemen, a massive game is going to take place. And
let me talk. Forget your introduction. Let me talk. Let me tell you something about Arsenal, Chelsea, ladies and gentlemen. Forget all these introduction. Leeds are more likely to get something against City than Chelsea are going to get something against Arsenal. Arsenal are humbling Chelsea this weekend. All this Chelsea crap ends this Sunday, and I cannot wait. You know, I cannot wait. I'm just going to sit there on Sunday supporting Arsenal like mad, because Chelsea fans annoy me even more than Arsenal fans. People say Arsenal fans are annoying. Man United fans are the most annoying fans in the league. We've established this. Second most is Chelsea. Chelsea are the most annoying, like way more annoying than Arsenal fans. Their players are the best players in the world, better than Arsenal. But one position on the pitch is the reason why they're not winning it. I can't wait for Chelsea's downfall this Sunday. I cannot wait. It's going to be beautiful. All this Chelsea crap ends this Friday, this Sunday, when Chelsea are out the top 5, you know, and life is restored to normal. You're gonna get the usual conversations, Tondboli, Igbali, Bluco. But in the summer, they never say that. It's in the summer. Oh, we're world champs. We're day 275 of 1,461 of your world champs, Chelsea. Today, your world champs take on the Gooners at the Emirates. I can't wait. Is Caicedo gonna duck the rice test again? Is Palmer gonna have his prototypical injury before Arsenal, you guys? Is that gonna happen again? Arsenal own Chelsea. People need to deep this. Nketiah was given a career because of a goal at the Stamford Bridge. It's so beautiful. I cannot wait this Sunday when Arsenal slap Chelsea. I think Chelsea have no hope in that game. I give Chelsea 5% chance. 5% chance. They will be out tactical and out managed. I don't think there is a single place on the pitch where I prefer Chelsea to Arsenal. I prefer Arsenal to Chelsea in every position on the football pitch, including forward line. Their best players are playing like shit in Palmer. Caicedo probably had his first good game against Burnley in a while. Caicedo's been shit for a while now, and even Mo's acknowledged the bad games that he's had. Against Burnley, he was very good, but before that, he's had a couple of bad games. For me, the one player that's above everyone else at Chelsea is Reece James. Reece James is the elite player. When he wears the Chelsea shirt and he steps foot on the pitch, you could tell he's a level above everyone else, including Caicedo. So that's the truth. I'm not trying to jinx anyone. I want to make top 5 anyway, and I'd rather Arsenal beat City. You heard how passionate I was about City cheating us from 2 league titles. All the Liverpool fans, Arsenal fans are annoying. Yeah, but no one knows a City fan anyway. That's why Arsenal fans are annoying. No one cares if Arsenal fans are annoying. Bro, I swear, I've lived in 3 countries. I've not met a single City fan. So that's why all of you guys say Arsenal fans are annoying, because you know Arsenal fans. I don't know a single City fan in my whole life. I've never met in real life in 3 countries a single City fan. So this whole City fans, Arsenal, I don't care, bro. At the end of the day, on the football pitch, once again, Arsenal are going to be proved to be monumentously better than Chelsea this Sunday, and they're going to beat them again, just as expected. And Chelsea fans will sit there and give you the prototypical excuses. Oh my God, the ownership, Maresca. But why don't you say the shit in the summer? Why in the summer do you tell us you're going to challenge? Everyone is held accountable to the I've said this 3 weeks ago, and I continue to say this. Everyone is held accountable to every word they say, except Chelsea fans. This is the one fan base we always let get away with shit that they say online. Liverpool fans, oh, you said you're going to win. You spent 500 million. You're failures. Man United fans, you failed. This is your 5th manager. Arsenal fans, you haven't won the league in 5 years. City, 115. Everyone gets, except Chelsea fans. Chelsea fans said we had a Chelsea fan
It's
on
actually
straight back.
okay, right?
1 second, don't interrupt. One Chelsea fan said Caicedo is better than Kante. The other Chelsea fan says Caicedo starts for PSG. And then Caicedo's putting up stinkers against Leeds. Why do we never mention this? But the moment Rice makes one mistake in a North London derby, it's inquiries. Guys, why do Chelsea get away with this shit? Cole Palmer hasn't performed well consistently for the last year and a half. Since January 2025. It's gonna be the end of the 2nd season. Cole Palmer hasn't played well since the first 6 months of Maresca. Imagine Odegaard or Wirtz or Bro Salah is getting cooked for the first bad season he's had in his career. In the Premier League is getting cooked. When's the last time Cole Palmer had a consistent run of 3 good games in a row? But we never hold them. Why do we not hold them accountable to the stupid shit that they say? Palmer's better than Saka. Palmer's better than Foden. Okay, where's the performances then that show that he's better? All these Chelsea players need to be held to the standards that Chelsea players set them on. World champs, we're more successful than Arsenal, we're better, blah, blah, blah. Okay, show us on the football pitch then. This Sunday, since the only position on the pitch that Arsenal are better than you is defense, show me on the football pitch. I want to see Joao Pedro play better than Gyökeres. I want to see your wingers outperform their wingers. I want to see Caicedo dominate Rice because according to you, he's so clear of him. I want to see all these things, but we never see them. And then come Sunday, all the Chelsea fans will be hiding. And then when they come out eventually, they'll come and tell you the same shit that you've heard for the last 3 years as soon as shit hits the fan. Blueco, blah, blah, blah. And Mo was right 2 weeks ago when he said Chelsea fans are pussies because as soon, I don't want to swear, as soon as Chelsea get a couple of bad results and they sack the manager, everyone pretends that they didn't like the manager. This for me is one of the most irritating things. I'm going to give prop to Lewis because he actually still backs Maresca till today. But there are people that as soon as Maresca was sacked, acted like they wanted Maresca sacked, and this is a correct decision to make. If Enzo Maresca was still at Chelsea, I would almost guarantee they made top 5 because I believe Aston Villa will fall. But with Liam Rosanier in charge, I don't think they'll make top 5. I don't think they'll be there. But if Arsenal, if Arsenal just beat them this Sunday, oh yeah, Arsenal are in a better position than us, which you never say in the summer.
You know what's interesting about what you said there before I go to Mo? I think Chelsea got a chance this weekend. No, I do. I do think they've got a chance. When they turn it on, they can be a very, very good football team. What I do find interesting is and I'm not talking, I want to name it. I'm not talking about Winter Surfer that comes on our show. I'm not talking about Quest or Kojo that come on our show. Andrew, Jesse that comes on, David that comes on. I just know when it comes to the likes of Don and Chelsea fans like him, it will be a deflection. They say they are outclassed. Say Arsenal win 3-1, are by far the better team, score more goals. It won't be, oh, we got done in the midfield today, or it won't be, oh, our fullbacks weren't good enough, or it won't be, oh, the Arsenal attack was too good today. It will be, you're right, conversations about sporting directors. Yeah. It will be singling out a player they don't like. What I tell you about this guy?
Get Chalobah out my club.
Yeah, it will be that kind of conversation as opposed to actually analysing the things that went good and the things that went bad. And part of me, listen, I do want Chelsea to lose for one big reason this weekend. Man United are in a top 4 race with them, the same as I want Liverpool to start dropping points. I feel like our clubs have created a little bit of a gap between the chasing pack. So I kind of wanted us all winning whilst that was going on. Now that little gap's been created, I'd like us to create a gap over you guys. I want to be in Europe next year. We can't catch Arsenal. It's not going to happen. So I do want Chelsea to lose the game, and it would be weird to not want that to happen. But I actually do want to see Chelsea turn up. I want to see Chelsea attack. I want to see some aggression in their play. I want to see Caicedo have a good game because I want to watch a very good game of football as well. And what will be really disappointing is if they go out in this game with a very similar attitude to they did in the Carabao Cup, which was just try and sit in for 60, 70 minutes and then attack late on. Because I think that plays into Arsenal's hands by and large, because Chelsea aren't good enough defensively to do that, in my view. And we've seen that in the last couple of games. It's also a massive match for Chelsea because I don't think, listen, the United play before it. They'll know before. United could be 6 points clear of them. Liverpool could be ahead of them. To drop points in that game, the only saving grace is top 5 are probably going to make.
We're playing West Ham. We're most likely going to win.
You're going to win. You are beating West Ham this weekend. There's always no time. That's massive for Chelsea. How do you see it going, Mo? What's your thoughts on it, mate?
I actually think Chelsea have a chance. I'm not saying, but most likely Arsenal will win the game. It's 80% Arsenal win the game. Chelsea actually are without key players, right? They're without key players, but Chelsea have to turn up because it's looking dark, guys. Wallahi, it's looking dark for Chelsea. It's looking. You know what? I did not imagine that they would be here today. I thought Chelsea would be at least 6 points better by today than what they are now when the tough running start. This is the tough part. Chelsea fumbled in the easy part. They fumbled in the Leeds and the Burnley game. They fumbled in the easy games. I actually think that Chelsea will turn it up against Arsenal. I think they're going to have a good game, but I think they wouldn't have enough to actually beat Arsenal at the Emirates. I don't think that they will have enough to even get a draw at Arsenal. I think Liam Rosenia, because of what happened in the Cup, will actually open up a little bit and attack because he got criticized massively at the end because he played the negative football and lost. He didn't even win the game. Like, if he won the game, to be honest with you. That's the thing. But I want to go back to one thing, Terry. I actually now just realized what Hussam said. Just realized. The only fan base online, and I know that, Terry, you don't want to talk about this, but the only fan base, I just noticed when he said it, that actually are not held accountable and don't raise their hand and say we got it wrong, are most of the Chelsea people. Because if you ask Hussam today, right in front of you guys, Hussam, who's the club with the biggest failure this season?
Us. Unless we win UCL, we failed. Done.
All Liverpool fans, Terry, will tell you that we failed the most this season. We should have retained the title. None of them will come here and say, oh, well, excuse us. We did this because we did that because that happened. Man United fans know that we need to get Champions League. We have got a golden opportunity. If they don't make Champions League, Man United, a lot of them will say, will raise their hand and say, we fumbled here. Amarim should have been sacked earlier. Ineos should have made better decisions. Blah, blah, blah. Man City the same. Arsenal the same. Chelsea are the ones that can say stuff and then go back and say what happened.
No, I agree. If I'm talking about the terrace community, we've got a lot of Chelsea fans who I don't think are like that. But this is where it's getting dark. That's why they've got to turn up. And this is the thing, when Chelsea performed back end of last season, going into the last 6 games, I was like, listen, if they don't start performing, they're not making Champions League. And they did. They turned up. They look really, really good. They've got to do that again now. They've got to turn it on because other teams are. And maybe that wasn't quite there last year, because to miss out.
But do you think the signs are there? Because the question that we keep asking people, and we get
are
asked
the
all the
signs
time.
there though?
Okay, Terry, inexperienced manager, lots of discipline issue, a lot injuries. By the way, injuries. They are riddled with injuries now. Like one out, one in.
Are the signs there? Right now, no, because they've played okay against smaller teams, and then won some of them and drawn some of them. But just because the signs aren't there, don't mean they can't turn it on. The signs weren't there in the last 7 or 8 games of the season until before those last 6. I don't know how to word that, but if you go to the last 12 games, their first 4, 5, 6 of those games, they look nowhere near good enough, and then it just clicked, and they got better and better. They didn't beat Newcastle, but the red card should have. They played very well that game. There's a red card. They've got the capabilities of doing it. The issue that you have is the ramifications if they don't. Because if top 5 make Champions League and they manage to come 6th, after getting back into the Champions League, to miss out again straight away is hugely disappointing, because this was meant to be the season 4 years into their rebuild. We have to be honest, 4 years in, 2022, this begun. 4 years in, to be back out of the Champions League is painful, because I'm not saying they won't go out. I mean, there's a link today to what's his bloody name? Morgan Rogers. I knew he said something else. Morgan.
Yeah, Morgan
Rogers joining Liverpool. ITK Hussam, you heard it here first.
Okay, but they're linked to players like that. I don't know if they're going to pay the salary anyway, let alone if they're not in the Champions League. So if I worry about how they get back into the Champions League the next year if they don't make it now. But I think it's got to start this weekend. I think they've got to this weekend. They may not have to win the game, but they've got to put a performance in. I think they've got to start building some momentum going into this really hard run of games away at Wrexham coming up, Champions League, last 16 Cup. We'll find out on Friday. That could be 3 games in a week against Newcastle, or they could have PSG sandwiched. And I actually think they prefer 3 games in a week against Newcastle. They have PSG sandwiched. It's almost like you have to play your strongest team in all 3 games. You can't. You have to rotate. As soon as they start rotating, they drop points. Are they going to rotate for the Premier League game? It becomes really... Listen, I'm excited about it. I said this to Don before the Burnley game. I'm really excited to watch Chelsea in this next 4, 5, 6 weeks. Their games have got a lot riding on them. They have the ability to perform, but they don't always perform. For me, it's crazy. We have a super chat I've got to go to from earlier, though. It's really important. It says, disgraceful, ignoring the real conversation here. What team will Hamza support when City are guilty? Love it. True Blue here says, Chelsea are crap. You should have your feet up for Sam. I respect the hate, though, as always. Like and sub.
Yeah, but when you say you should have your feet up, have I not been saying on the Football Terrace that we will make top 5? I have already said it. I think Liverpool are going to make top 5. I'm looking more at Chelsea and Aston Villa as to who will get the 5th place. And by the way,
the difference, guys. Sam, even if they make top 5, will tell you it's a failure. By the way,
but the whole fan base thing that even Mo just realized what I just said, bro. This Sunday, if Arsenal lose, Arsenal fans will come on here, blame the manager, blame the players, look at who's responsible, hold everyone accountable. Chelsea fans, get Chalobah out my club.
Now,
Let's talk about
the biggest one will be from certain Chelsea fans. Fucking Sporting Director, SDs, man, the SDs, the SDs. If both teams are on the ball, who wins?
Arsenal
at the Emirates, definitely. Don, calm down. Chelsea are tough. They had a 1-1 win against them. Carabao Cup second leg. You think Arsenal toyed with Chelsea?
Yeah, because Chelsea was the team that had to attack. You're losing, buddy.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they toyed with them, but they just sat there. Arsenal, we'll sit in. If you're going to sit in, we'll sit in. We don't need to risk anything. They should. I understand the approach they went with Chelsea, but they should have abandoned it after 30 minutes and gone in a different direction. Gentlemen, brilliant debates on the show today. Absolutely loved it. We are done. Yeah.
Why would that? We haven't mentioned Arsenal yet. I haven't spoken about Arsenal or anything.
Oh yeah.
Is there anything to say more?
We're out of time.
Yeah, it's fine. We're out of time. Well, okay.
Yeah, I've got to go. I've got an appointment. I'm very sorry. Hour and a half in. Boys, always a pleasure. Sit here and talk with you, gentlemen. Thank you to everyone who's liked and shared. Nearly 1,000 likes on the stream, which is amazing. The super chatters and members, you're absolutely brilliant. I know we don't all agree with each other, either on the panel or in the chat, but that's
We're gonna
part
have
of
a big fight off stream, guys. You have no idea. We're gonna cuss each other out. You guys have no idea.
This is going to redirect you to MHF. So get yourselves across to the channel now. This is going to send you there. Go and support the boys on their show. We're back tonight after the Champions League playoff second legs again for another match reaction. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you soon.